In this video I'll be looking at the solution to question 1 from the January 2010 Edexcel FP1 paper. The topic of the question is complex numbers. In the question we're first of all given two complex numbers Z1 and Z2 and asked to find the value of Z1 divided by Z2 in the form A plus BI, where A and B are real numbers that we need to find. Having found that new complex number, we're then asked to find the modulus of it, mod Z1 over Z2, and the argument of that new value Z1 over Z2. Well, taking these one at a time then. First of all, Z1 divided by Z2. Well, that will be equal to Z1 divided by Z2 will be equal to 2 plus 8i divided by 1 minus I. And then, of course, we can simplify that by multiplying the top line and the bottom lines by the conjugate of the denominator 1 minus I. So the conjugate is 1 plus I. If we do that both top and bottom, we haven't changed the value of our fraction. On the top line we're going to have to multiply those two numbers together. The real part comes from the 2 multiplied by the 1, giving you 2. And then the 8i multiplied by I. So we've got then plus 8i squared. So that's the real part. The imaginary part comes from the number 2 multiplied by I. So that gives you 2. And the 8i multiplied by 1. So it gives you 2 plus 8 is the imaginary part of that number. And then the denominator, you can remember this, it's always going to be the real part squared plus the imaginary part squared. So in this case it's 1 squared plus 1 squared. And the real part is 1 and the imaginary part is 1 in each of those. So therefore, if you calculate what we've got in total, well, we've got 2 plus so I beg your pardon, 2 minus 8, because I squared is minus 1. So that gives you negative 6, and that's divided by 2. So in total, negative 3. And then 2 plus 8i is 10i divided by 2, so we get minus 3 plus 5i as being our final answer. The marks that were allocated for that was, well, there's a method mark for remembering how to simplify two numbers divided by using the complex conjugate, an A mark for doing this multiplication, and then a final A mark for getting the final answer, minus 3 plus 5i. Once we've got that, then we're asked to find the modulus. Well, remember that the modulus is simply calculated using Pythagoras' theorem, so that in this particular case the modulus of Z1 divided by Z2 is equal to the square root of negative 3 squared plus 5 squared, and that gives you a total of 34. So 25 plus 9 is 34, so we've got the square root of 34. That can't be simplified. You know, the two factors are 2 and 17, so that there is no perfect square to come out of there. Therefore, we can leave it at that. The marking for that was M1 and A1, so the two marks given M1 and A1. To calculate the argument of the number, then the best thing to do first of all is to just check which quadrant this number lies in. So minus 3 plus 5 is up here. This is the number we're talking about. So it's in the second quadrant of the circle. Therefore, we're trying to find out this value here. Now we can do that in a variety of ways. But one way is to say, well, let's calculate the angle to this point here, and that we can see is equal to tan to the minus 1 of 5 over 3, and then we can subtract that from pi, so that the argument of z1 over z2 is going to be equal to pi minus tan to the minus 1 5 over 3. So we're asked to give this in radians, and if you calculate that in radians to 2 decimal places, it comes out to be 2.11. So that technique of making sure that you find the correct quadrant of the circle for the argument. The marking there will simply give a method mark and an answer mark, A mark, for the 2 marks of the question. Well, that completes that question. More questions and other questions to other modules can be found at www.furthermaths.org.uk.